بسم الله.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء وبقوتك التي قهرت بها كل شيء فخضع لها كل شيء وذل لها كل شيء وبجبروتك التي غلبت بها كل شيء وبعزتك التي لا يقوم لها شيء وبعظمتك التي ملأت كل شيء وبسلطانك الذي على كل شيء وبوجهك الباقي بعد فناء كل شيء وبأسمائك التي ملأت أركان كل شيء وبعلمك الذي أحاط بكل شيء وبنور وجهك الذي أضاء له كل شيء يا نور يا قدوس يا نور يا قدوس يا نور يا قدوس يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تهتك العصام. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل النقام. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تغير النعم. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل البلاء. اللهم اغفر لي كل ذنب أذنبته وكل خطيئة أخطأتها. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك بذكرك وأستجدع بك إلى نفسك وأسألك بجودك أن تدنيني من قربك وأن توزعني شكرك وأن تلهمني ذكرك. اللهم إني أسألك سؤال خاضع متذلذل خاشع أن تسامحني وترحمني وتجعلني بقسمك راضيا قانعا وفي جميع الأحوال متواضعا. اللهم وأسألك سؤال من اشتدت فوقته وأنزل بك عند الشدائد حوجته وعظم فيما عندك رغبته. اللهم عظم سلطانك وعلى مكانك وخفي مكرك وظهر أمرك وغلب قهرك وجرت قدرتك ولا يمكن الفرار من حكومتك. اللهم لو أجد لذنوبي غافرا ولا لقبائه ساترا ولا لشيء من عملي القبيح بالحسن مبدلا غيرك. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك وبحمدك ظلمت نفسي ظلمت نفسي ظلمت نفسي وتجرعت بجهلي وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك علي. اللهم مولاي كم من قبيح سترت وكم من فاتح من البلاء أغلت وكم من إثار بغيت وكم من مكروه دفعت وكم من ثناء جميل لست أهلا له نشرت. اللهم عظم بلاؤي وأفرت بي سوء حالي وقصرت بي أعمالي وقعدت بي أغلالي وحبسني عن نفعي بعد أملي وخدعتني الدنيا بغرورها ونفسي بجنايتها ومتعولي يا سيدي فأسألك بعزتك ألا يحجب عنك دعائي سوء عملي وفعالي ولا تفضحني بخفي ما اطلعت عليه من سري ولا تعجلني بالعقوبة على ما عملته في خلواتي من سوء فعلي وإساءتي ودوام تفريطي وجهالتي وكثرة شهواتي وغفلتي. وكن اللهم بعزتك لي في كل الأحوال رؤوفا وعلي في جميع الأمور عطوفا. إلهي وربي من لي غيرك أسأله كشف ضري والنظر في أمري. إلهي ومولاي أجريت علي حكما اتبعت فيه هوى نفسي ولم أحترس فيه من تزيين عدوي فقرني بما أهوى وأسعده على ذلك القضاء فتجاوزت بما جرى علي من ذلك بعض حدودي. يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني ورقة جلدي ودقة عظمي يوما بدأ خلقي وذكري وتربيتي وبري وتغذيتي. أبني لابتداء كرمك وسولف برك بي يا إلهي وسيدي وربي. أتراك مؤذبي بنورك بعد توحيدك وبعد من تبى عليه قلبي من معرفتك ولهج به لساني من ذكرك واعتقده ضميري من حبك وبعد صدق اعترافي ودعائي خاضعا لربوبيتك. حياة أنت أكرم من أن تضيع من ربيت أو تبعد من أدنيت أو تشرد من أغويت أو تسلم إلى البلاء من كفيته ورحمت فليت شعري يا سيدي وإلهي ومولاي أتسلط النار على وجوه خرت لعظمتك ساجدا وعلى ألسن نطقت بتوحيدك صادقا وبشكرك ماضيا وعلى قلوب اعترفت بإلوهيتك محققة وعلى ضمائر هبت من العلم بك حتى صارت خاشعة وعلى جبارها سعت إلى عوتون تعبدك طائعة وأشارت باستغفارك مذعنة ما هكذا الظن بك ولو أخبرنا بفضلك يا كريم يا رب يا كريم يا رب يا كريم يا رب فأنت تعلم ضعفي عن قليل من بلاء الدنيا وعقوباتها وما يجري فيها من المكاره على أهلها على أن ذلك بلاء ومكروه قليل مكثوه يسير بقاؤه قصير مدته فكيف احتمالي لبلاء الآخرة وجليل وقوع المكاره فيها وهو بلاء تطول مدته ويدوم مقامه فلا يخفف عن أهله لأنه لا يكون إلا عن غضبك وانتقامك وسخطك فهذا ما لا تقوم له السماوات والأرض يا سيدي فكيف لي وأنا عبدك الضعيف الذليل الحقير المسكين المستكين يا إلهي وربي وسيدي ومولاي لأي الأمور إليك أشكو ولما منها أضج وأبكي لأليم العذاب وشدته أمل طول البلاء ومدته فلئن سيرتني إلى العقوبات مع أعدائك وجمعت بيني وبين أهل بلائك أفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك فحبني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي صبرت على عذابك فكيف أصبر على فراقك فهبني صبرت على حر نارك فكيف أصبر عن النظر إلى كرامتك أم كيف أسكن في النار ورجائي أفضل فبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا لئن تركتني ناطقا لأضجن إليك بين أهلها ضجيج العاملين ولأصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين ولأبكين عليك بكاء الفاقدين ولنودينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين يا قومية آمال العارفين يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا غياث المستغيثين يا حبيب قلوب الصادقين فيا إله العالمين أفتراك سبحانك يا إلهي وبحمدك أسمع فيها صوت عبد مسلم سجن فيها بمخالفته فذاق طعم عذابها بمعصيته وخبز بين أطباقها بجرمه وجريرته وهو يضج إليك ضجيج معمل لرحمتك ويناديك بلسان أهل توحيدك ويتوسل إليك بربوبيتك يا مولاي فكيف يبغى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من حلمك أم كيف تؤلمه النار وهو يأمل فضلك ورحمتك أم كيف يهرقه لحيبها وأنت تسمع صوته وترى مكانه أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم ضعفه أم كيف يتغلغل بين أتباعها وأنت تعلم صدقه أم كيف تزجره زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا رب أم كيف يرجو فضلك في عتقه منها فتتركه فيها هيهات ما ذلك لنا بك ولا المعروف من فضلك بل مشبه لما عملت به الموحدين من برك وإحسانك وباليقين أقطع لولا ما حكمت به من تهذيب جوهري وقضيت به من إخلاد معاوندي لجعلت النار كلها بردا وسلاما فما كان لأحد فيها مقر ولا مقام لكنك تقدست أسماؤك أقسمت أن تملأها من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين فأن تخلد فيها المعوذين وأنت جل ثناؤك قلت مبتدئا وتتولت بالإنعام متكرما أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون إلهي وسيدي فأسألك بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالقضية التي حتمتها وحكمتها وغلبت من عليه أجريتها أن تحبني في هذه الليلة وفي هذه الساعة كل جرم أجرمت وكل ذنب أذنبت وكل قبيح أسررت وكل جهل عملت كتمته أو أعلنت أخفيته أو أظهرت وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني وجعلتهم شهودا علي مع جوارحي وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم والشاهد لما خفي عنهم وبرحمتك أخفيت وبفضلك سترت فأن توفر حظي من كل خير أنزلت أو إحسان فضلت أو بر نشرت أو رزق بسطت أو ذنب تغفر أو خطأ تستر يا رب 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 يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومولك رقي يوما بيده ناصيتي يا عليما بظلمي ومسكنتي يا خبيرا بفقري وفاقتي يا رب 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 أسألك بحقك وقدسك وأعظم صفاتك وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقاتي من الليل والنهار بذكرك مأمورا وبخدمتك موصولا وأعمالي عندك مقبولا حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا وحولي في خدمتك سرمدا يا سيدي يوما عليه معولي يوما إليه شكوت أحوالي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا ربي يا ربي يا رب أرض على خدمتك جوارحي واشدد على العزيمة جوانحي وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك حتى أسرع إليك في ميادين الصابرين وأسرع إليك في البارزين وأشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين وأذنب منك ذنوب المخلصين فأخوفك مخوفة المؤمنين وأجتمع في جبورك مع المؤمنين اللهم بمن أرادني بسوء فأرد ومن كودني فكد واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نسيبا عندك وأقربهم منزلة منك وأخصهم زلفة لديك فإنه لو ينول ذلك إلا بفضلك وجد لي بجودك واعتب علي بمجدك واحفظني برحمتك واجعل لساني بذكرك لهجا وقلبي بحبك متيما ومن علي بحسن إجابتك وأقلني أثرتي واغفر زلتي فإنك غضيت على عبادك بإبادتك وأمرتهم بدعائك وضمنت لهم الإجابة فإليك يا رب نسبت وجهي وإليك يا رب مددت يدي فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي وبلغني منام ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي واكفني شر الجن والإنس من أعدائي يا سريع الرضا يا سريع الرضا يا سريع الرضا اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء فإنك فعال لما تشاء يوما اسمه الدواء وذكره الشفاء وطاعته غنى ارحم من رأس موله الرجا وسلاهه البكاء يا سابق النعم يا دافع النغم يا نور المستبحشين في الظلم يا عالما لا يعلم صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بي ما أنت أهله وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا وصلى الله على محمد وآل محمد صلوات الله
صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. السلام عليكم شيخ.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
السلام عليكم شيخ.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته, brother. So tonight I'm gonna not use the mic in my ear so that hopefully you can hear me properly. Please, if you can confirm that, I'll begin, inshallah.
Yes, Sheikh. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, alhamdulillah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Before I begin, I just want to congratulate the brothers and sisters on this auspicious wilada and birth of the 12th Imam Sahib al-Zaman alayhi salam. And inshallah, Allah accepts all of your a'mal on this day. Those of you who had the tawfiq to fast, those of you who did dua, those of us who did ihya of last night and were awake last night doing ibadah and worship. Inshallah, Allah accepts everything and doesn't make this the last of our 15th of Sha'ban, inshallah ta'ala. And also, Allah brings health and shifa to those who are dealing with this problem right now, the virus, inshallah ta'ala. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الخطبة التاسعة عشر. ما يدريك ما علي مما لي عليك لعنة الله ولعنة اللاعنين. حائك ابن حائك منافق ابن كافر والله لقد أسرك الكفر مرة والإسلام أخرى. So after khutbah 17 and 18, which I said kind of might be from the same khutbah, although they've been separated in Nahjul Balagha as two, but they seem to be the same khutbah. We move on now to khutbah number 19. Khutbah number 19 has nothing to do with the previous khutbahs. Now that's what's kind of, in a sense, I could say, it's kind of cool about Nahjul Balagha. It doesn't go chronologically. There is no specific order to it, I would say, but so far you've seen that some of the khutbahs that had to do with the Battle of Jamal and Talha and Zubair and what happened in Jamal, those came in the beginning. You know, we had a few one after another. But then all of a sudden, this khutbah, this book jumps to somebody else that has nothing to do with khutbah 17 and 18. Khutbah 17 and 18 was about those people who they say they're knowledgeable, but they're not. And all they've done is gathered jahl and ignorance. All of a sudden, in khutbah 19, there is a quote, an excerpt from Imam Ali's khutbah, which wasn't really his khutbah. It's something he's saying in the middle when someone cuts him off and says something to him. He answers that person. So tonight, we're going to be talking about that person and why Imam Ali spoke to him in a certain way. Now, that person's name is Ash'ath bin Qais. Al-Ash'ath bin Qais is a very important figure in Islamic history. And this is what I like about Nahjul Balagha. Sometimes Sayyid al-Radi, the khutbahs that he brings, makes you jump from one branch to another. And so you have a mixed bag now of different historical facts, different things that took place that you have to dissect. And then once you're done though, you have a good grasp of the context of Imam Ali's time, and what things were looking like exactly during his time. So anyway, here in this khutbah, as I said, it's not really a khutbah, it's in the middle of his khutbah apparently. Imam Ali has to answer Ash'ath bin Qais. And so this Ash'ath bin Qais, we'll talk about him, he's a problematic individual. Of course, once again, I didn't have much time to research, but I did check a little bit online. And what I found was that when his name is mentioned, at least some scholars from who are not from the Shia school of thought, they will follow his name with radiyallahu anhu. So once again, this might be one of those figures that the Shia school, based on their report card, either during the Prophet's time or after the Prophet's time and demise, yes, will look at very critically the Shia school. While since they were Muslim during the Prophet's time, and when the Prophet died, they might be considered a Sahabi and revered outside of the Shia school of thought. At the end of the day, as I've said time and time again, we are here to try to understand things. We're not here to throw shade, to call out other schools of thought. We just want to see how we look at things and we keep the respect. Anyway, Ash'ath bin Qais, yes, he, according to the Shia school, the way we look at it, there are some problems that we'll talk about. This is a person that became Muslim during the Prophet's time, but towards the end, he wasn't one of the ones who was like one of those initial Muslims. He wasn't like that. Now, there's an interesting story. I heard one of these sheikhs saying, one of these Sunni sheikhs, he was saying, so I didn't look into it, but he says that Ash'ath bin Qais is the same person who, when during the Prophet's time in the beginning, when he announced that he's Prophet, what happened was no one followed him. And so we've all heard this story that the Holy Prophet entered into Masjid al-Haram, and behind him came Khadija and Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhim as-salam, and they started praying. And there were some people sitting around who saw what they're doing, and they started asking what's going on from his uncle. They asked his uncle Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib, the one that's buried next to the graves of the 4 Imams in Al-Baqi cemetery. There was a guy who is doing trade with Abbas, because Abbas was a merchant. Abbas was very, very rich, this uncle of the Prophet. And so they're doing their trade, and then Ash'ath, this guy who is doing trade with Abbas, this is Ash'ath now. Ash'ath is the one, they say, who notices that the Prophet comes, Allahu Akbar, and begins to pray. And then after him, a boy comes, Ali ibn Abi Talib, and he starts praying. So he asks, who is this? He asks Abbas, who is this? He says, that's my nephew, Muhammad. He is, claiming that he's a prophet, and this is the way he prays. Then Ali comes, and he starts praying. Who's this? He says, this is my other nephew from another brother. And then Khadija comes and says, who is this? That's the wife of Muhammad. Anyway, Ash'ath says, 20 years later, they say, when he embraces Islam, now, as I said, this is one of the Sunni scholars saying, I haven't looked this up myself to verify if we also have that in the sources or not. But anyway, usually when they're giving history, at least the part that, the parts that they give, they at least they themselves have done the research in their own sources. So I'm just sharing with you what he's giving us from his sources. Anyway, he says that Ash'ath, 20 years later, when he kind of was in a situation when he had to embrace Islam, he starts weeping in front of the Holy Prophet when he's embracing Islam. And the Holy Prophet says, why are you weeping? Don't you know that Islam, makes up for everything of the past of somebody? That means if you weren't Muslim before, you were an idol worshiper, Once you embrace Islam, all of that is forgiven. He says, I know that, but I think about the time when I was in Masjid al-Haram and I was dealing with I was making deals with your uncle Abbas, and it was 3 of you only. You 3 were all of Islam. I could have been like the 4th or the 5th who embraces Islam, and I didn't embrace it then. I preferred to continue my trade and my business with you when that was happening. I was like, okay, whatever, these guys, whatever they're doing. Now, after 20 years, I'm embracing, but look, I lost 20 years of life for this purpose. Now, for the purpose of dunya. Well, that itself says a lot about an individual that they've waited 20 years when they had the chance to be one of the first ones to be Muslim. Of course, we're not going to judge anybody that far, only based on this much. If someone really is upset about their past, embraces Islam, it's accepted. But the thing is, that's not everything that we find in history. I want to share with you tonight a few things about this individual that we'll go into detail later. Number one is that he did embrace Islam, but after the Prophet passed away, he became murtad and he went against Islam. And then after that, again, he became Muslim again. And these are things that kind of, put question marks and raise red flags about someone. So what's happening is, I want to read the Arabic first. It says Imam Ali was giving a khutbah, was delivering a sermon. This person is passing by or is sitting there listening, whatever it is, and he shouts out to the Imam something. He says something to the Imam. That what he said is not been recorded in this part of Nahjul Balagha. As a matter of fact, that which he says, you can figure out kind of what he says by what Imam Ali answers him. Imam Ali says, "Ma yudrik, ma alayya mimma li." How do you know? What do you know? What is for me in my favor and what is against me? How do you know that? So this shows that Ash'ath bin Qais had said something before that had something to do with him calling Imam Ali out and telling him he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what is in his favor and what is against him. All right, so what did Ali ibn Abi Talib say that caused Ash'ath to say this, that caused Imam Ali to answer him in this way? Okay, that's the question now. There are 2 opinions here. What was Imam Ali speaking about in his sermon that caused Ash'ath to say, "Oh Ali, what you just said is against you, is not in your favor. You're saying something, making it sound like it's in your favor, is something good for you, but it's actually against you, and it brings you down in credibility." Yeah. So what was it that Ali ibn Abi Talib was talking about? That's the question. And there are 2 opinions here in this regard. Number 1 is that Imam Ali was speaking about how the Holy Prophet had said that al-Muslimun tatakafa'u dima'uhum, that the Muslims, their blood is equal. They are all equal in blood. That means you cannot take the life of a Muslim without any justification. Okay? Number 1, it doesn't matter what status you have versus the status of the person that you take their life. It doesn't matter. If you're higher, they're lower, socially speaking. Doesn't matter. We are all equal when it comes to blood. Everyone's life needs to be protected and preserved. That's number 1. Number 2, وَهُمْ يَدٌ عَلَى مَنْ سِوَاهُمْ. And the Muslimin, they are all one hand against those who are their enemies. That means they have to be united. So Imam Ali is speaking about this. من أحدث حدثا أو آوى محدثا فعليه لعنة الله والناس أجمعين. And if anyone, makes stuff up in the religion, in other words, disunites the people. Here, the bid'ah Imam Ali is speaking about apparently is the bid'ah of disunity. Then the la'na and damnation of Allah is upon them, and the damnation of all the people. So Imam Ali, this is the first opinion. Imam Ali is speaking about how the Prophet is telling people to stay united, right? And to be one hand against the enemy and to respect each other's blood and lives. What happens? This is where Ash'ath speaks out and says, وَهَذَا وَاللَّهِ عَلَيْكَ لَا لَكَ. This, what you're saying, Ali, is against you, not for you. It's not in your favor. What does that mean? That means what he's trying to say to Imam Ali is that you have partaken in 3 battles. You have participated in 3 battles against the Muslims. Now, this might be after the Battle of Jamal, Battle of Siffin, I don't know. All in all, at least one of those battles had taken place when the Imam is saying this khutbah, delivering it. And so Ash'ath calls him out. He says, you are speaking about being united, but you're the one whose civil battles have broken out in your time. Not during Uthman's time, not during Abu Bakr and Umar's time. So this, what you're quoting the Prophet, yes, what you're quoting the Prophet with doesn't go in your favor. It's against you. It's something that hurts you and your image. That's one opinion. There's another opinion about this as well. Well, the Prophet, what the Imam was talking about, that says that Imam Ali in his sermon was talking about how the Hakamain and the Tahkim was wrong and unacceptable. As you all know, probably have heard, Battle of Siffin, it culminated in the arbitration. It's called Tahkim, where Imam Ali was prevented from continuing the battle. They were that close to defeating Muawiyah's army. And so what happened was, instead the Muslims forced Imam Ali to give in to Tahkim, which means that one person from Imam Ali's side and one person from Muawiyah's side have to get together, figure out what the Quran wants from these 2 armies, and both armies and the commanders have to follow suit regarding that verdict that these 2 hakams, these 2 arbitrators, will come to as a conclusion that the Quran wants from these armies. That's the tahkim. Okay? Anyone Googles Siffin, the Battle of Siffin, they'll find this. If you want more details on it, just look it up. There's a lot of details that you can find online about this tahkim, or this arbitration. Imam Ali was not happy with this. He wanted to finish the job of Muawiyah in the Battle of Siffin, but it was imposed upon him. Why was it imposed? Because his army was fooled by the likes of Muawiyah and Amr bin al-As, who raised Qur'ans up high so everyone can see, of the army of Imam Ali can see, that look, we believe in this Qur'an too that you believe in. You're trying to kill us. We're all on the same page. We're all on the same team here. Why are you trying to kill us? And so the army of Ali was fooled by this tactic, and they went against their own commander, which was Imam Ali. The Khalifa of the Muslimin right now. He's not just a normal commander, he's the Khalifa to the Muslimin. The 4th rightly guided caliph, according to other schools of thought. And so this was forced upon him. He didn't want this. Now, eventually that tahkim, the conclusion they came to was that Ali ibn Abi Talib is not the Khalifa anymore. Long story, okay? We don't want to talk about that right now. Long story of how that happened, how the one that was representing Imam Ali was fooled. Imam Ali didn't want him to represent him. This person, his name was Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. Imam Ali didn't want him to be his representative. That was even imposed on Imam Ali. One of those people who had to do with this was Ash'ath bin Qais, they say. He's the one who introduced Abu Musa al-Ash'ari to be the representative of Imam Ali when this arbitration took place. Now, having said all of that, Imam Ali, the second opinion of what did Imam Ali say to cause Ash'ath to object, to cause Ali to now counter Ash'ath with this part of the khutbah that we're going to discuss tonight. What was it that Ali ibn Abi Talib said that got on Ash'ath's nerves? He was talking about how this tahkim was unacceptable. Yeah? They say that in the middle of his khutbah, one of his own companions gets up and he says, "Oh Imam Ali, you're speaking bad about the arbitration. But at the same time, you're the one who told us it's binding on us." So let me explain this as well, brothers and sisters. Once Ali ibn Abi Talib accepted, by force of course, by his own people, accepted the tahkim, what happened was, he told his people, now that we're accepting this, we have to live up to it. It's a treaty. You can't just compromise and breach something that you have accepted as part of as a treaty. So if this is going to be what you want and you're going to force me to sign, all right, we'll sign. But once we sign, we can't come out of it anymore. And so this is something that the Khawarij later on used against Ali ibn Abi Talib. That itself is a long story. I don't want to get into. But the point I want to make here is, which is relevant to what we're talking about, is that this companion of Ali ibn Abi Talib says, you're always telling us the tahkim is binding on us and we have to live up to it. Now you're telling us it's a bad thing. Which one is it? Like, in other words, kind of like make up your mind, Ali ibn Abi Talib. And then it says here that Ali says, it says he clapped his hands together. He clapped it together and says, Hada jaza'u man taraka al-uqda. Yes? That this is what happens when you don't follow the one you're supposed to follow and you don't follow the right way of doing things. And you force tahkim. That means then I am forced to tell you that you have to fulfill your end of the bargain and your promise. Okay? Not my fault. In other words, yes, I disagree with it. It's the wrong thing to do. But once you agree to it, you have to live up to your agreement. That's how it works. It is here that it says that Ash'ath is upset. He gets upset. And he says, what you're saying is against you, not for you, in your favor. What happened with Ash'ath that he says this in response to Ali ibn Abi Talib? It appears that he misunderstood what Ali ibn Abi Talib was saying. When Imam Ali claps his hands together and he's showing that he's upset, and he says, this is what happens when you don't follow the right path or when you don't do what you're supposed to do, Ash'ath thinks that Ali ibn Abi Talib is saying, oh, I made a mistake. We didn't take the right route, and that's why we're in trouble now. And that's why I'm sounding contradictory, self-contradictory here. No. That's not the case. That's not what Ali ibn Abi Talib is saying. What Ali is saying, alayhi salam, is when you don't follow the truth that I'm telling you, this is what happens. I have to force you to do something that you and I don't like. That's what he was saying. So in this second opinion, regarding the interpretation of what's going on exactly in this khutbah, it's based on a misunderstanding by Ash'ath of what Ali ibn Abi Talib means. Okay? All right. So that is the introduction. It took a little bit of time actually, but that's the introduction to this whole khutbah here, or this excerpt. So now the Imam, he says, in response to Ash'ath, when Ash'ath objects to him, Ali alayhi salam responds to him, وَمَا يُدْرِيكَ مَا عَلَيَّ مِن مَالِي. What do you know? That which is for me, in my favor, or against me, and it hurts my image. What do you know? It's as if the Imam is telling him, like, you didn't even understand what I said. And then you are criticizing me based on your understanding of what I said. And this happens all the time, you know. Anyone who might speak to a crowd of people, whether they're a ma'soom or they are non-ma'soom, it doesn't matter. Shaykh or non-shaykh. When you speak to a people, there's that chance of people misunderstanding what you say. And then they just base a whole objection to you. They base it on what they understood from what you said. It's always good to first sit down with that person and say, hey, what did you say? Is this what you meant? Then if you see this is what they meant, then you start arguing with them. Yeah, it happens sometimes. And lots of times people have good intentions, not bad intentions, but it happens. And so that's one thing we have to be careful of course. Ma yudrik ma alayya min mali. Get out of here. What do you mean you know what I'm supposed to say, what I'm not supposed to say? Alayka la'natullah wa la'natul la'inin. Allah's la'na and damnation be upon you, and the la'na of those who said la'na be on you. Wow. That is harsh. That is very harsh. Now, before I get into why, or a little explanation of why Imam says this, a question might come to someone. Oh, you know, we've always heard that Ahlul Bayt are nice people. You know, it's always butterflies and flowers and all that kind of stuff. No, it's not the case. Every place has every occasion, every circumstance and situation calls for the appropriate wording of things and the appropriate way of saying things. Okay, now in this situation, you don't have a normal person. You have Ash'ath speaking to you like this in front of everybody. You have to sit him down, just like Imam Hussein alayhi salam on maybe different occasions with Marwan bin Hakam. He destroys Marwan bin Hakam. Yabna Zarqa, O son of that woman who would do indecent things. Yeah, why does he speak to him like that? Because when they are trying to take the Imam down, the Imam has to show the people this is not a person you follow here. This is one of the ones that is horrible. Never take this person as someone who inspires you. No. So in this case, same thing. Or else if it's a normal person who is like not a very good person, you don't find the Imams calling them out and destroying them like this. Here Imam Ali is destroying him because he needs to be destroyed, or else it'll be a problem. Even in the Quran, Allah, which is the kindest of all beings and entities out there, even in the Quran, He sends la'na on certain people because that's what they want themselves. And that's what they deserve. And Allah sends la'na on them. People understand, okay, this is not a person that I will ever go to for any form of guidance or look up to as an example. All right. Ibn Abi al-Hadid, he says that, like, don't be surprised that Imam Ali is this harsh with him. Why? Now, this is his statement, that he says all of those bad things that happened during Imam Ali's Khilafah, yes, they all, in one way or another, trace back to this Ash'ath bin Qais. He was the problem in a lot, if not all, of the problems that arose during the Khilafah of Imam Ali. And there were a lot of things that came up during his time, Imam Ali's time. He had a lot of enemies. Yes. So you know why? I think personally this Ash'ath bin Qais, the reason for this is because the reason why he was the one behind a lot of things is because he was on Imam Ali's side in the battle of Jamal, even in the battle of Siffin, but he was one of the problematic ones. One of those munafiqeen, you can call him. Yes, and hypocrites who would say one thing but would do something else behind the scenes. Once again, this is how we see him. Other schools of thought might see him in a different way. Ha'ik ibn Ha'ik. Hiyaka in Arabic means when you stitch something, when you use yarn and you, what's the word for it? I forget. When you make things out of yarn. If anyone can help me out, appreciate it. Anyway, O Stitcher, son of Stitcher. And O Munafiq ibn Kafir, O hypocrite son of Kafir. So I need to explain what's meant here. Hiyaka, a person who sews or stitches, this person is not, here Ash'ath, some people have thought that, okay, his dad was a tailor or something. Yeah, knitting, sister says. That's what it was, that's the word. Knitting. Oh, knitter, son of knitter. Right? Hiyaka, which means to stitch and knit. It's not that it was his job, it was his occupation or his dad's occupation. Here the Mufassirin have explained. They say that in Arabic and also in Farsi we have this as well. I don't know if this is something that's used in Urdu or not. But when someone makes up lies, the verb knitting and stitching up lies is used, right? We say darami bafeh, yeah, which means baftan in Farsi means to knit, and so it can mean knitting literally. It can mean making up lies. Here, Imam Ali, they say, is saying that you liar, son of liar, right? That's what he's saying. Not that they were tailors or anything like that, because these Mufassirin, they say that in history, when we look, we don't find that that was his occupation. And O Munafiq, son of Kafir. Munafiq, son of Kafir. Oh, I forgot. There's a nice hadith here, actually. This ha'ik, this word, has been explained by Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq as well. that when they asked him about the ha'ik, the knitter, he said, "Innahu mal'oon." This person is cursed. So does that mean anyone who knits for a living is cursed? No. What does ha'ik mean? He says, "Innama dhalika alladhi yahuku al-kidb ala Allah wa ala rasulihi." That the ha'ik is the one who knits lies, puts together lies, stitches together lies against God and against His Holy Prophet. So that's the ha'ik. Okay. But why munafiq now? Munafiq, brothers and sisters, according to the Shi'i historians, they say that this person was involved in even the martyrdom of Imam Ali. Now, each of these has to be researched separately, but these claims are out there. For example, him being involved in the assassination of Imam Ali, involved in the people not being able to be victorious in the Battle of Siffin, as I said. His involvement in the Battle of Nahrawan coming about. And then the arbitration itself, as I told you, he pushed for arbitration. He pushed for Abu Musa al-Ash'ari to be the representative of Imam Ali, the arbitrator on behalf of Imam Ali, while Imam Ali wanted Abbas, Ibn Abdullah ibn Abbas, his cousin, to be the arbitrator. No, he's the one who went against Abdullah bin Abbas and other conspiracies that took place against Imam Ali. All of them, Shi'i historians say that Ash'ath had something to do with them, to the extent that they consider him the Abdullah bin Ubay of Imam Ali's time. Abdullah bin Ubay was one of those famous munafiqeen during the time of the Holy Prophet. They call Ash'ath bin Qais the Abdullah bin Ubay of Imam Ali's time. So the Imam goes on. And he says, Munafiq, son of Kafir. Why Kafir? Because his dad got killed before Islam in a battle that we'll talk about later as well. Wallahi, Imam Ali continues. He says, Wallah laqad asaraka al-kufru marratan wal-islamu ukhra. That by God, you were taken prisoner by kufr and by Islam. By both. فَمَا فَدَاكَ مِنْ وَاحِدَةٍ مِنْهُمَا مَالُكَ وَلَا حَسَبُكَ. What is he talking about here? He says, kufr, disbelief, and Islam and belief took you as prisoner. Each of these have taken you as prisoner. What's the story behind that? Let's talk about that a little bit. It's interesting. Ash'ath bin Qais, his father Qais, they got into a dispute and a feud with another tribe. A battle ensues. And Qais is killed. Now, Qais is killed. His son Ash'ath, that we're talking about right now, Ash'ath goes to avenge his father's blood. So he goes and fights. But what happens is, the problem is that they go and fight the wrong tribe. Instead of fighting the tribe that had killed his father, they go and fight another tribe. It's interesting. And what happens is he is defeated. His army is defeated. And when his army is defeated, and he's taken prisoner. And now I think I read somewhere 3,000 camels were given as ransom for him to be freed by those who had taken him prisoner. Okay? Yeah, the name of the tribe was Bani Harith. So they were trying to fight Bani Murad. I don't know how this happened. They ended up fighting Bani Harith instead. So Bani Harith took him as prisoner. So then he accepts Islam. We're fast forwarding now. So that was before Islam. So his father got killed in that battle before Islam. He was also, during the time of Kufr, during the time of Jahiliyyah, he was taken as prisoner also by the Kuffar. And he was freed after. But now here the Imam Ali says, your wealth and your relationship with others was not able to help you get out of this. 3,000 camels, he doesn't have that much money. So what happens is they say that out of his tribe had to pay up, right, and get him out. So his connections, his connections and his wealth that he had wasn't enough. Like they had to actually go out of their way to get him out of this. So that's before Islam. He becomes Muslim. I already gave you the story of his Islam and him embracing Islam. Now what happens is when the Prophet passed away, brothers and sisters, yeah, we have to remember this idea or concept of al-hurub al-ridda. It's called hurub al-ridda, the battles of irtidad and the battles of apostasy. Right when the Prophet passes away, different pockets, there are different pockets of people and tribes who all of a sudden go against Islam. And also there are people who are false claimants of prophethood, and they say we're prophets. Okay? Now, what happens is Abu Bakr sends armies to fight these people and defeat them, because everyone knows there is no prophet after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And so Khalid bin Walid is one of those great commanders, and other great commanders who go and fight and destroy all of these false claimants and so on. One of those tribes, Ash'ath, joins them. And Abu Bakr sends someone to fight them as well. This tribe is a tribe of apostates now. Now, what happens is fighting ensues, night falls, and what happens is they say that Ash'ath goes to the commander of the Muslim army and kind of surrenders and asks for safety, and they give him that. He also, some narrations say that he asks for safety for 10 other people of his family as well. So he asks for all of that. That tribe, which was like 800 people or so, they all thought that he is getting safety for all of them. Next thing you know, the rest are all butchered by the Muslim army, and only these 10 are spared. And so they take him back to Abu Bakr. Ash'ath bin Qais, you were Muslim. The Prophet passes away, you join these tribes. Now it's interesting because, as I said, I didn't get a chance to look properly, but how is it that a person like this is still referred to as radiyallahu anh, may Allah be pleased with him? I don't know. Maybe they don't accept that he was one of them. I don't know. Outside of the Shia school of thought. But this is what our commentators are saying here. That he was taken to Abu Bakr. Now hear this part, that when they take him to Abu Bakr, and Abu Bakr, he starts, asking Abu Bakr to forgive him and all of that. Abu Bakr forgives him and marries his sister to this Ash'ath bin Qais. And I think her name was Farwa. One second, let me just look it up real quick. Yeah, Farwa. His sister Farwa was also blind, it says here. And she was married to Ash'ath bin Qais. Now, brothers and sisters, hear this. He has 4 kids from this Farwa. One of them her name is Ja'da. Do we know who Ja'da was? Ja'da was the one who became the wife of Imam al-Hassan and eventually poisoned Imam al-Hassan. That's one of his children. Who are his other 2 children? I said he has 4, but the other 2 that I want to talk about, one of them is, his name is Muhammad bin Ash'ath al-Kindi. And the other one, his name is Qais bin Ash'ath bin Qais. Okay, so I want to talk about these 2 individuals. Remember, Ash'ath is the main guy we're talking about here. His dad's name was Qais. Hence, we call him Ash'ath bin Qais. Right? This Ash'ath bin Qais has 4 children. One of them is Ja'da. One of them, his name is Muhammad, son of Ash'ath bin Qais. So Muhammad bin Ash'ath bin Qais. And another one's name is Qais. So he names his son after his father. So Qais bin Ash'ath bin Qais. I just want to read real quick to you about these 2, Muhammad bin Ash'ath and Qais bin Ash'ath. Muhammad bin Ash'ath bin Qais al-Kindi was in Karbala. He was one of the commanders of Ibn Ziyad, it says here, when it came to arresting and apprehending Muslim Ibn Aqil. On the day of Ashura, it says when Imam Hussein said that I am the son of the Holy Prophet, he says, no, who says you're the son of the Holy Prophet? So he is a person who denied the Imam Hussein's claim of being the son of the Holy Prophet. He went against Mukhtar after Ashura. And Mukhtar's people tried to get him, but they couldn't. And so eventually he gets killed in the battle of Mus'ab versus Mukhtar. He gets killed in that battle. That's the son of Ash'ath, Muhammad. There's another son, Qais, son of Ash'ath. What is he all about? It said he's one of the ones that before Ashura wrote a letter to Imam Hussein and invited him to Kufa. But once Ibn Ziyad came and took over, things changed. And he went on Ibn Ziyad's side. On the day of Ashura, he was in the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad, and he was involved in the looting of the tents of Abu Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam. And he's one of the ones who stole the clothing of Imam Hussein, one of those pieces of clothing of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. You see, brothers and sisters, it's no coincidence that a family tree will have problems. And we have to understand, family trees lots of times will have good individuals. Yes, because these are the fruits of the forefathers. We have to understand there is an effect. There is a reason why prophets come from one lineage. You don't find them scattered. Yes? There's a lot to talk about here. I have to skip all of that. I don't want to take too much of your time. This is a family tree. Another one is the tree of the Marwanites and Marwan bin Hakam and those guys. Then you have this family here of Ash'ath bin Qais. All right. So these are the kids that he has with Farwa, the sister of the first Khalifa. So the first Khalifa forgives him, and so now this guy comes back into Islam, and he comes back into Islam. Now, having said all of that, yes. Having said all of that, I want to continue the khutbah of Imam Ali, or that part of his khutbah, where he's countering Ash'ath. He says, وَإِنَّ امْرَأً دَلَّ عَلَى قَوْمِهِ السَّيْفِ وَسَاقَ إِلَيْهِمُ الْحَتْفِ لَحَرِيٌّ أَن يَمْقُتَهُ الْأَقْرَبُ وَلَا يَأْمَنُهُ الْأَبْعَدُ. It says, Imam Ali says, so the one who guides his people to the sword and eventually death and brings death to them, this person is deserving to be hated by his own people and also not trusted by those who are not related to him. And Imam Ali here is pointing to what I talked about a few minutes ago, that this is the person who got his own people killed in that story of Irtidad. When the Muslim armies came to defeat these apostates, those who were against the Holy Prophet after him, yeah, he could have at least tried to save his tribe or his people, the ones that he had gone to, but instead he lets all of them die, as long as he's the one who is saved. Subhanallah. Like, this is how low someone can go. But what's interesting is, and this is something to talk about and discuss, why did Imam Ali have certain people around him? He is still somebody that in the battle of Jamal, we're not sure about it. There's differences of opinion here, which side he was on. But in the battle of Siffin, he's on Imam Ali's side for sure. But he keeps causing fitna, keeps causing fitna, keeps causing fitna. When the Qur'ans were raised, he's the one who's instigating a lot of things and causing doubt in the hearts of the army of Imam Ali. When it comes to the tahkim and arbitration, he's the one. He's the one who is pushing for it. When Imam Ali eventually agrees to the tahkim because his people are forcing him, those who later on went to become Khawarij, yes? Once Imam Ali accepts that, he's the one who pushes for Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, a person who didn't even give bay'ah to Imam Ali, to be the representative of Imam Ali. This is that person. But there's a question of why was Imam Ali allowing these people, yeah, to be part of his side, and why didn't he get rid of them when he knows that they're a problem? We'll talk about that towards the end. There's one thing here that after the khutbah ends, or those lines of Imam Ali end, Sayyid al-Radi explains something. He says, here when Imam Ali says this, he pushed his people to the sword and to death. He's talking about something that happened between Khalid bin Walid and Ash'ath bin Qais. But the mufassirin of this khutbah, they say we don't find in history anywhere where Khalid bin Walid and Ash'ath go at it. So it's probably not the case. It's probably the commander of the Muslim army that came to kill the apostates that he's talking about. His name was Lubayd, Ziyad bin Lubayd, Ziyad bin Lubayd. So apparently maybe Sayyid al-Radi, he has a little footnote on this part of the khutbah, maybe mix these two up with each other. Anyway, so that's one thing I wanted to explain, because if you've noticed in Nahjul Balagha, those footnotes by Sayyid al-Radi, they're there in the actual Nahjul Balagha. He adds footnotes sometimes, so it's good to also explain what he says and what he means by certain lines that he says, that he brings there. And it's because of this that this Ash'ath bin Qais is referred to as Urfun Nar. His own people called him Urfun Nar, which is a title that's used for those who betray their own people. Yeah. All right, so having said all of that, now the question comes of why is Imam Ali allowing people, munafiqeen like this, to be amongst him in his ranks and so on? Well, the answer, I think, brothers and sisters, as Shia, we better have an answer to this, because it doesn't stop at people like Ash'ath. The question will go all the way back to even the Prophet's time. That's something that is used against us. Why, if the Prophet knew that certain people are not proper and are problematic, why would he allow them to be around him still? The Prophet, actually, we have a hadith by him that I want to share with you that kind of solves this problem and answers it. For us, at least as Shia, it might not be enough to convince others, but at least for Shia, we have to understand that this is just how it's always been. Taqiyya is something that is used today, yes, but even during the Imam's times, amongst their own people sometimes, I don't want to use the word taqiyya, but they would have to be careful about certain things. And they had to take the bigger picture into consideration. This famous hadith by the Holy Prophet, it says, because apparently they even told the Holy Prophet, Prophet, you know that there's some people with you that are problematic. Why do you have them still around you? Get rid of them. It says, لولا أني أكره أن يقال أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله استعان بقوم حتى إذا ظفر بعدوه قتلهم لضربت أعناق قوم كثير. Whoa, that's pretty harsh. The Holy Prophet here, it says, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm afraid people are going to say, or I don't like it for people to say that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam got help from a certain people, and then once he was victorious through their help over his enemies, he killed them. If it wasn't for me fearing that people are going to say this, I would strike the necks of a lot of people right now. That's how problematic some people are. Yeah. So if that's the case with the Holy Prophet, Imam Ali, same thing. Imam Hassan, same thing. If you get rid of people who are around you, they see that person as a Muslim at the end of the day. That's what munafiq means, brothers and sisters. Munafiq means a person who shows they're Muslim, but in their heart they're not Muslim. That's what it means. And so if you are taking these people out one after another, your own people are going to say, oh, what gives? You're killing your own people. They're like, no, you don't understand. They're problematic. People don't have that much faith. Their faith is usually weak. Until today, we have these issues. Yeah, sometimes there are problematic people representing the deen. You can't call them out by name, because if you do, there's a lot of people who follow that person. And as a result, those people will go against you, who you feel, at least you're trying to do Islam a favor. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you're the one who's boycotted. And so for this reason, you have to, for the greater good and for the bigger picture, you have to try to get along as much as you can and just try your best to do as much damage control as you can. Imam Ali alayhi salam, unfortunately, he had his hands tied. These are the people that were around him. Ash'ath bin Qais, brothers and sisters, we have to understand, he's very influential. He's not some young guy walking around. He's old now. He was there fighting pre-Islam. He was fighting in battles. So of course, during Imam Ali's time, he's an old individual. If you watch the movie of Mukhtar, yes, they show him a lot in that movie and how much influence he actually had. He was there. He was a commander, right? But he hurt Imam Ali a lot in the battles that Imam Ali had to fight and so on. He had something to do with those, although he's on his side. Yes, and we can see the results of it in his children, what kind of children he has. Sometimes you can tell what kind of tree a certain tree is by the fruits that it bears. We seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be of those people who, through our actions and through our malice and vice that we have within us, we bear certain fruits that will be something that continues to hurt us even after we've passed away from this life and gone to the next life. This was khutbah number 19. A lot of history, and it was all revolving around this individual by the name of Ash'ath bin Qais. Once again, I say this, that the Shi'i school, we look at the report card, we don't like what we see, and we try to be realistic about things, and we see that, okay, things aren't good, so we will not look up to an individual like this. Other schools of thought might think differently here, and we will respect that. They have their reasons, and we have our reasons. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. I doubt that we'll have any questions, so, but I'm just asking if there are any questions, let me know, and if not, we can end. All right, I don't think there are any questions. And so until Saturday, well, tomorrow night Momin has a program as well with Maulana Nusrat Bukhari. Inshallah, those of you who want can tune into that. And on Saturday, we'll also have our EIS class, which I will keep on the Facebook Live platform, inshallah ta'ala. Until then, iltimas dua. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah.